going through. Everybody's looking for what's the right fix. I have strong feelings about the economic policy issues, but the fundamental thing is this. Once you've been around a long time, if you go all the way back to the Sumerians 8,000 years ago, you will see that all great civilizations build systems. That's how they become great. And then the systems get long in the tooth because the people running them, in the public and private, become more interested in holding on to their positions than advancing the purposes for which the institutions were established. More interested in present gain than future expansion of opportunity to others. And America's been around as the longest freely elected government in human history because somehow or another we managed to stay in the future business when it mattered most. So that's what I would say to you about America. We can talk if you want, Professor, about the economic policy or whatever, but I'm for whatever puts us into the future business, which means that all of our public and private power centers have to be focused on purpose more than holding on to present position, on advancing the future rather than just holding on to present gains. But everywhere I work, poor and rich countries, that's an issue. The rising economies, the problem they face is they have to do both. China's moved more people out of poverty in less time than any country in history, not just because it's the most populous place on earth, but because they found a way to make this work. They also have terrible problems that are chemical industry and centers with very high rates of cancer. They have people producing powdered eggs that aren't powdered eggs, they're some powdered chemical. The government is, in other words, trying to develop the capacity of things you expect the EPA or the FDA or the Agriculture Department to do for you that they just couldn't have done it, just everything exploded. They have all these people coming to the cities and they got to create enough jobs for them, and yet they still got a lot of people living in rural areas and nobody's figured out how to spread the economic growth out there. India has the world's biggest middle class, about 350 million. Large number of millionaires. They also have the world's largest number of really poor people, more than China. Why? Because unlike the Chinese, they are more entrepreneurial, but less adept at aggregating and investing capital in infrastructure. So there aren't roads and railroads and airports and systematized good education systems and other things that you get when you can aggregate and invest capital. So they have to deal with that. Brazil is the most environmentally responsible big country in the world and also the most environmentally challenged. They need more power. 85% of it's clean. It's all from hydropower. They want to build 3 more dams. Unfortunately, the only available rivers are in the rainforest. So they have to take the rainforest down and destroy one 2,600-year-old Indian tribe if they're going to build these dams. Do they have options? Brazil just finished 4 years in a row when the world's most efficient biofuel, their sugarcane ethanol, which gives you 9.3 gallons of ethanol for every 1 gallon of gasoline. More than 3 times as efficient as corn ethanol. They've used more ethanol than gasoline for 4 years in a row. They want to produce more. They don't need the rainforest. They need the deep topsoil they have. The problem is the more of the deep topsoil they use, the more they push the cattle farmers, cattle ranchers, and the soybean farmers into the rainforest because soybeans have tiny little root structure. Brazil's doing the best job of trying to handle their problems because they got a process where it's totally different from American politics today. I'll tell you 2 stories. 2 years ago, the ethanol producers invited me to Brazil and said, we are racked with worry that we are doing our job, but we are pushing cattle and soybeans into the rainforest. Tell us how we can do our job and stop this. They know that Amazonia is a global resource. They know it's 20% of the world's oxygen that comes from non-ocean sources. They know there are thousands and thousands of plant and animal species that are irreplaceable. And they asked me, and I gave them some ideas. But the point is they're asking. This last year we had a conference on the edge of the rainforest, and you had every oil company, every electric company, every ethanol producer, big sizes, all the business lobbies, the head of the Green Party, the people that want more solar and wind power, representatives of the Indian tribes that don't want them destroyed in the rainforest, the whole gamut. Can you imagine what it would be like in America if you had a meeting like that today under the current climate? They're sitting calmly in a room, talking to each other, treating each other with respect. They know there's no perfect resolution of this, and they set a process where they're at least trying to come to a consensus. It was thrilling to me. And that's the last point I want to make to you. In modern politics, not just here, and not just in democratic societies, but all around the world, what seems to work is conflict and organized division, driving the biggest stake you can into the opposition. But in the real world, what works is cooperation and networking. Look at the prosperity centers of America. Orlando has 100 computer simulation companies because of the cooperation of NASA, the Defense Department, the private sector, the University of Central Florida, the technology transfers, the constant training. Those people don't know we've been through a recession. Silicon Valley is back. But south of there in San Diego, it's the center of human genome research and development. The Cleveland Clinic and the community college in Cleveland is doing perhaps the best job in America of taking out-of-work, middle-aged, undereducated people that never get to go back to a job like they had and training them for a future job. Why am I telling you this? Look, I was in politics for years. I hate it when people that used to be in politics pontificate to people who are still there. You're ambitious, you want to win, and as we see one more time, negative campaigning works.